Welcome to the Personal Trainer Hustle. Personal Trainer Hustle. If you didn't know, you do now.
All right, welcome back to the Personal Trainer Hustle. And today we are going to do a deep dive into prospecting and the elements of prospecting. So I've written down 7 points, 7 parts of prospecting that I want to cover, and obviously I will give you guys some more insights into just other things to think about when it comes to prospecting. But I figured we should do a deeper dive into prospecting because this is one of those skills that if you can take today's episode seriously, if you can understand the power of being able to approach somebody and offer them your services, you're going to realize that you have more power than you realize in building your business, especially when you're just starting off, when it's just you. Obviously, for me now, I have a gym, I have trainers, so the scale at which we move is bigger than just, going up to people one-on-one, handing them a business card, handing them a postcard with some information or a flyer of any kind. That it's changed over time. But if you guys are a trainer and you're working at a gym or you're venturing off and starting your own business, understanding how to do this should help you, should you need to lean on it. I know a lot of us now with the internet, with social media, with being able to amass followers, we want to do it that way. We correlate followers with some type of personal training success. Even though a lot of people that have a lot of followers don't actually always train a lot of people. And the inverse is also true. I've met some trainers that have been trainers for many years. They have a fully functioning business. They have a referral system. They are known in their community. And a lot of them don't even have a website or don't have a social media. So it's not to say that it isn't important to build your online presence. It's very important in this day and age, but this skill of prospecting is a very powerful skill because it allows you to not just sit back at home and hope that somebody calls you, right? This is a more direct, more hands-on, more in control way of doing things, but it is also very difficult. Right? Just like it's going to work because it is one of the most fail-proof ways to build your client base. It's very, very likely to work. It's very hard to get this part wrong, but it's very simple, but in its simplicity, in its effectiveness, it is also very hard to get up and do it because it requires, like everything good in life, it requires action. So let's talk all about prospecting. So prospecting, for those of you guys that aren't sure, just, because not everybody has worked at a gym, not everybody has worked in a sales environment. Prospecting is, making your services known to an individual. And usually when we talk about prospecting, we're talking about you going up to somebody and starting a conversation in order to ask them if they want to try a service or if they're interested in your product. So in the gym, when I started, when I was a new trainer, that's what I had to do. That's what a lot of trainers have to do. When I got hired to Bally Total Fitness, I actually didn't really think about everything all the way through. And you guys may have also realized this at some point. And if not, maybe this is the moment you're going to realize this. When I became a certified personal trainer, I never thought about where the clients came from. I went to school for personal training for 6 months, and I never thought about where clients came from. I learned a lot about hypertrophy, about strength, about power. I knew all the primal movements. I knew the different types of strengths, the different ranges of motion. I mean, just so many things, the way the heart functioned, the nervous system, movement patterns, corrections, progressions, regressions. I learned a lot of stuff on how to be a trainer, But this is what happened. When I finally got my first job, my manager said, okay, you're going to clock in from 8 a.m. to noon and work the floor. And I was like so confused. I was like, what do you mean? And he said, you're going to talk to people and try to get a consultation, get a first workout, get somebody to do a trial session. And in that moment, and I've told you guys this in the past, maybe not so, I haven't, gotten so into it, but today we're getting into that part of the story. What happened was I was lost. I was scared. I was like, this is not training. This is not what I signed up for. This isn't what my certification is for. I have a really good certification that makes me, prepared and ready and able to be able to train people. Working the floor, talking to strangers, trying to get an appointment, that was not in the textbook. And so it made me want to quit. I was like, I'm going to have to do something else. I'm going to have to go somewhere else. There's just no way. There is no way that I'm going to be able to get an appointment. There's no way that I'm going to be able to approach a stranger in the gym and be able to pull this off. But I tried it, and I tried to get advice from the other trainers, and they would try to help me, but I was just so scared to approach people. But thankfully, I was able to stick it out. I did try to quit for a while, but, nobody else was hiring me at the time. So thankfully, things worked out in my favor, and I had to figure out how to prospect people in the gym. That was the main source of clients in the gym that I got hired at. And a lot of you guys are going to run into this same situation. You have to talk to people either in your gym, or you have to set up a table outside of a gym. Maybe some of you guys are renting space, right? There's also that business model where you may be able to find a gym that you pay a monthly membership to that allows you to use all the equipment, and you can build your business in the gym. A lot of you guys maybe are going off and starting your own stuff, and you could still apply prospecting in a way that you can go up to people and let them know that you're a personal trainer. So this is an interesting and difficult way to do things at times, mostly because of the discomfort of talking to strangers. But it's also very powerful because it puts you in direct contact with people. And if you're fairly good at sales, and if you're a good trainer, and if you listen to some of the stuff that we're going to talk about today, you can use this tool to be hands-on and guarantee your success just a little bit more. Success isn't guaranteed for anybody, but being able to control that certain numbers, certain variables gives you a lot of power. I talked about this not too long ago, but when you prospect, you can count how many people you talk to. You can start to create, certain percentages or averages. And you can say, hey, for every 10 people that I hand a flyer to, or for every 10 people that I invite to try a first workout, I get rejected 9 times, but 1 client says yes. And so what happens is when you prospect, you don't feel like nothing is happening. You actually feel like you're taking control, but it's not easy. It's not comfortable for most of us. Maybe some of you guys listening have an easy time prospecting, but I guarantee you most of us are not comfortable with the idea of talking to people and offering them our services and inviting them to try a workout with us or coming to visit our gym and things like that, right? It's a lot more comfortable to post something on social media and think that we did something to grow our business. And it's not to say that that doesn't grow your business, but that also requires a certain skill set, a certain timeline, and it's less direct. So even though it'll work long term, building up a following and things like that, it's going to take longer. And sometimes we want to do something to get a client now, right? We want to get a client this month, this week. And so prospecting allows us to go and talk to people and find people where they're at, whether it's at the gym, at the park, at a plaza, wherever. It allows you to talk, maybe a farmer's market. That's something that I've done in the past that I haven't talked about with you guys. But that ability to know that I can talk to people and eventually somebody will show interest, it gives you a lot of the power back. You'll feel a lot less helpless if you understand what prospecting is, right? Putting yourself in the line of fire and going up to somebody and saying, would you like to try my service, right? Now, it's not that simple, and that's not the approach that I would take, but that's what today's episode is about. I want to break down, for those of you guys that maybe find yourself in this situation or would like to apply it in your business or in your job. You can apply this skill anywhere you go, but today we're going to break it down into 7 different parts so we can understand a little bit more how prospecting works. So, number 1 is what I call the subconscious awareness, okay? So what that means is once you've decided that you are going to go and talk to people, whether you're at the gym or whether you're off on your own, maybe setting up a table or being part of a farmer's market or anything like that, the first rule is understanding that you are in the peripheral vision and awareness of all of the individuals that may be present, right? So think about it like this. If you're in the gym, as you walk in, the person in the treadmill way in the back of the gym didn't look at you come in, but they were aware that somebody came in. So this is like a subconscious, that's why I call this subconscious awareness. You have to understand that people have a subconscious awareness that you are around, that you are there, that you are talking to people, that you are a coach, or that you've set up a table or of some type. Why is the subconscious awareness important? And for you to understand that it all starts with the subconscious awareness. Well, because the problem that a lot of us have when we prospect is that we turn it off and we turn it on. And so what happens is we sit there with our head low, or we sit there playing on our phone, and then when we see somebody that we're going to approach, then we fix our posture, then we try to put on a happy face, and then we begin walking up to a person, right? Because prospecting requires you to go up to people. That's the discomfort part of it, right? So if you can build up the courage to try it, what I want you to understand is the first level is you need to constantly check yourself for how you're presenting yourself at all times. And this is a big, big problem. This is one of the reasons why a lot of us feel uncomfortable when somebody approaches us anywhere. Because normally when people approach us, they are turning it on, right? They are coming at us with this aggressive, overbearing, overly aggressive, overly happy, overly salesy approach. And so what happens is before you even say anything and before the person even looks your way, they can sense what's going on. And so if I can just make you guys aware, then you can realize that what needs to happen is you need to become comfortable with the idea of always being ready to talk to somebody. Always. Okay? The problem is that we turn it on and off. And also, once you've been trying to prospect for a while, let's say you decided I'm going to prospect at the gym for an hour. And it's been 15 minutes and there's nobody to talk to. And now it's been 30 minutes and you still haven't talked to anybody. And the hour's coming up and you're about to have to go home and you still haven't talked to anybody. What happens is your demeanor begins to change. You either start getting too desperate or you start losing hope. And what happens is people can sense that. And people can sense that. So if let's say you're starting to lose hope and then you build up the courage to talk to somebody, they're going to get the sense that you're not confident. And maybe you are confident. What happened was you lost your confidence in the last 45 minutes because it wasn't working out. And so that is a very difficult part of prospecting, and one of the things that we need to work on at every moment. You have to remind yourself this isn't going to happen overnight. It's going to be difficult. But you just have to know, and hopefully by me sharing this story, you can remember this moment. You can remember my voice, and when you start losing hope or when you start getting desperate or when you start feeling down, you have to remember, let me turn it back on. Let me stay loose. Let me stay in it, because I never know when the opportunity is going to come. And a lot of people lose the opportunities because they weren't ready. Right? I remember I used to get upset when I would have trainers prospect outside of our gym when we first started. I would go outside And I would just watch from far away, and I would see that they had their head looking down at their phone for 10 minutes. And what I saw that they didn't see is the 3 people that like looked over at the table and like talked to their spouse about it. So there was people walking by that had a curiosity, but the trainer never saw it because they allowed themselves to get distracted, right? Sometimes the longer it would go, the less likely that the trainer or even myself would say anything to anyone. See, that's one of the detriments in prospecting is the longer you go without success, the more you start getting down on yourself. The less likely you are to offer your flyer or your services or your coupons to the next person. And then when you don't offer it to the next person, it's even harder to offer it to the next person. And so the downward spiral begins of being more quiet, of having your whole energy and posture come down, which then in turn makes it less likely that whoever wants to talk to you actually talks to you. And even if they talk to you, they won't take you seriously because you have allowed this awareness that they have about how they feel towards you and how you feel about the whole situation. There is a subconscious awareness that's happening where before you even say anything, people already know, or so they'll avoid you or they won't take you seriously. One more thing that happens is, and I guess we could talk about this in part number 2. So that's just your energy. That's just the posture that you're putting out, right? That's number 1. Awareness of how people are seeing you. Do you look happy to be prospecting? Do you look happy to be in the gym? Do you seem like you really want to help? Do you look like you've done this before? Are they excited about what you're offering? Are you doing it with a smile on your face, or are you scared, or are you angry that you have to do this? People are going to pick up on that. So number 1, you have to constantly, as you're working the floor or as you're working a table, you have to constantly check in on how you're standing, how you're sitting, how you're talking. Notice if you're starting to slow down your pace. Notice if you're starting to look at your phone more often. Those are all cues that you are starting to fall out of focus. And the problem is people are going to notice that, right? Even if they don't look at you directly, they're going to feel that something is off here, okay? So that's number 1. You have to start there. If your whole composure is off, subconsciously, before you even say anything, people are going to feel it. They're going to notice it. But let's talk about number 2. This is when we come into more of a conscious level. So number 2 is an actual awareness. This is where somebody knows that you're going to talk to them or they're going to talk to you. Okay? So again, this is kind of between 1 and 3, but they become aware, right? So this has to do with, like, let's say you start walking towards somebody. You have to make sure that you're not walking too fast, that you're not being too aggressive, that you don't make that person feel like you're like picking them out of the whole bunch, right? So you're going to go from a subconscious awareness to a conscious awareness, and you just have to be mindful of that transition, right? Where they noticed you were out there and now they notice that you're coming. All I'll say is that you have to be relaxed and you have to keep a smile on your face. But going from 2 to 3 is where a lot of people also lose energy. So I'm going to keep talking about kind of your composure a little bit here. But in the brief moment that they go from being aware of you to being aware that you're coming, now you're going to go right into number 3, which is now you're going to break the ice. And what that means is you've decided to make contact with somebody, right? You see somebody, you start walking towards them, or maybe they're walking by towards you, and you're going to make contact with them. You're going to break the ice, right? And in essence, when you're prospecting, that's all you're trying to do. You're trying to just constantly break the ice with people. Level 1 of this is just saying hi to as many people as possible, right? That allows you to be in their consciousness, in their awareness. But I think what happens is a lot of us don't know when to approach somebody or what to say. So we'll talk about that a little bit. But also, there's a couple of things here. I just want to make sure I don't skip over this. But Another thing that's going to happen, and you just need to know this, is that a lot of people are going to reject your offers. And because I don't want to move on from how you like control your posture and how you stay composed. Another reason people begin to lose their composure is that most people are going to tell you no. I'm here to tell you that that is what's supposed to happen, okay? The reason why we don't want to prospect, the reason why we don't want to approach people is because we all know this in our gut. Most people are going to reject us. Most people are going to say no. When you decide to prospect, that is the game that you decided to play. It is a game of no's. It is a game of a lot of people saying, no, thank you. I'm okay. I'm not interested. And what happens is every time somebody says no, we lose our composure more and more and more. And the problem with that, right, because that's why I don't want to move on from this point about how you feel, about how you keep your head up. The problem is, let's say 10 people tell you no, but the 11th person was going to say yes. They were interested. But what happened is you allowed all of those no's to bring your energy down. And so you don't have the right words, the right energy, the right composure, the right positivity to actually talk to the 11th person. You've allowed the previous 10 to take your joy, to take your energy, to take your belief. And by the time you needed it, because you don't know when that yes is going to come, when that interest is going to come, what happens to most of us is we cannot maintain that level of energy and focus long enough. And so what happens is we don't believe in prospecting because even when that interested person came about, you were no longer ready. You had already made it up in your head that nobody was going to be interested, that nobody was going to say yes, that nobody was going to want to try what you have. And what happened was that 11th person, maybe it's the 5th person, maybe it's the 11th, maybe it's the 13th, whatever number person came up to you or that you approached, that person may have been the one. The problem is you came into it with, you didn't treat them like they were your first person approaching, right? So when you prospect, you have to treat every person as if they're the first person that you're prospecting. It's not much different than training. You have to remember that every person that you train, even if they're the 5th person in the day, you have to treat that person like they're the only session of the day, right? Because that's what they're paying for. So in prospecting, a lot of people mess up because they are the ones carrying the weight of all the rejection. But that person that you're prospecting, or the person walking up to you to ask you what you're doing, if you have a table set up, either however this happens, but once that contact happens, they are meeting you for the first time, but you are seeing them as the 10th rejection, as the 20th person that you spoke to today, right? This is the 100th person that you've prospected. So what happens is you're the one that has the problem. They are the first time talking to you. You're the first trainer that's talking to them, right? They're excited about what a trainer may be able to do, help them do. But the problem is you are not treating them like it's the first time you are helping somebody. And so that energy and that lack of focus affects a lot of people. So what I'm trying to tell you is make sure that you always stay focused, keep your energy up. And actually, as much as I'm going to give you advice on how to approach somebody or, what to say, the first piece of advice I have to give you is no matter what you say or how you prospect, if you allowed yourself to be defeated, it's not going to work out. And so that is actually the first lesson and the first thing that you have to practice. Every time you go to prospect, I need you to at least be aware of it now. How are you feeling? Check in on how you're feeling and shake it off. Shake it off, walk it off, and say, you know what? The next person might be the one. I need to be ready because the next person. And if you can live in that hopeful feeling, if you can live in that faith of the next person might be the one, I need to be ready. Whether they say yes or no, whether you get rejected or not, if it's a no, you brush it off and you just have to do it all over again. This next person may be the one. And you have to keep your energy up So when that person clicks, you were ready, right? So that's just a piece of advice. But let's go back to number 3, which is breaking the ice, right? This is when you're going to make contact. There's many ways to do this, okay? I'm going to talk about it just to start from the approaching somebody at the gym. For me, the best way to do this is always to look for someone that needs help with a piece of machine. So that for me was my preferred place to prospect. I know you can do it in treadmills. You can tell people, hey, would you like to try this or that? But what you need to start developing is a strategy, a place where you see that somebody may have a question or may need advice or may be taking you up on an offer or anything like that. So what you want to do is, like I said, for me, it was always looking for anyone that needed help with anything, okay? That allows me to make contact without forcing it. That could be maybe somebody needs a towel. That could be that maybe somebody dropped something and I pick it up and I give it to them. But the most important thing is, and this is what you have to train yourself to see in the gym, you guys, always look for confusion. Right? When someone's on the treadmill and you see that they're looking at the thing and they're not sure what to, that is your cue to start moving your feet. Start moving in their direction immediately. There's not a lot of time to waste because they might figure it out on their own or they might decide to get off and go do something else. So for me, when I decided I was going to prospect, the mindset I would get into is, who can I help? Where do I see something? Right? And so wherever I found myself being able to be of use, I would insert myself. If I saw a guy walking around in the gym looking for weights, I might say, are you looking for a certain size, dude? Maybe we have some in the back. I can check. Or, anything, right? Or I can look around too since I'm always cleaning the gym. Maybe they'll say, oh, yeah, I'm looking for 10s. I can't find her. Do you guys not have 2.5s? Like, we do. I don't know. Or maybe you know the gym and you're like, oh, you know what? People always take them to this side, man, because I don't know why they always put them on this machine. You can go and you can help out. And what that does is allows you to have contact with someone. You're talking to a stranger. And we're going to get into what happens next. But in essence, that's the first part, or at least the third part for me of this whole process is once you make sure that you are holding your composure and presenting yourself in a certain way at all times. Once you decide to start moving into someone's energy or in their space, this is number 3. You break the ice. You have to have something to say. And this is something that you guys should rehearse. Create a scenario in your mind, because you don't have to use mine. I'm giving you a piece of advice because that's how I did it. But you need to see it from their perspective and come up with something that you're going to say for a certain situation, right? So when somebody needs help with something, when somebody can't find something, you should have something rehearsed that you've practiced that you're going to say today. Okay, today I'm going to hang out at the gym for 5 hours, and whenever I see somebody struggling in a machine, I'm going to go walk up to them and I'm going to say blank, right? And now you should have an approach on what to say, right? My approach when somebody didn't know what to do with a piece of equipment was just to tell them how it worked or to ask them specifically if this is what they were struggling with. One that worked all the time was people didn't know how to put the seat up on a machine, on the fly machine, on the curl machine, right? You guys know that. There's a little lever, a button. You have to push it, and then sometimes you need to pull it at an angle to move it. So I knew that would happen with people at the gym, right? You guys have to think. I knew that was going to happen because that always happens. Sometimes it would happen to me. I'd be trying to adjust the machine. I'm like, I have to get off the machine and look like, oh, this one I need to pull back and then up. So it would happen even to me where I was like, I'm not sure how this machine goes up. I have to figure it out. But once I also knew that the members were probably going to have a hard time at some point figuring out where to put the pin, where to pull on the seat, right? How to adjust certain levers, how to make the fly machine wider or narrower or have more range or less range. So if I know the machines, then I can spot when someone doesn't know how to use the machine. And so my approach when I was prospecting was to walk up to that person and just offer the help. Not can I help you, But I would say, are you trying to move the seat up? Or did you want, or are the pins working on that? Are you trying to go for flies or for reverse flies on it? And they would say, oh, I'm trying to get it here. I'm like, oh, I think this is where you pull it. And I would just get my hands on it and start moving it around for them. And then my line was, and I'm going to share it with you guys, but I would go in there, I would help them out, or I would ask them if they were having a problem with something specific. And sometimes they would be like, oh, no, I got it. And I would just keep walking. But if they let me help them, sometimes what would happen is they would have another question. So then that would lead to a conversation. Now I'm in it. A lot of the times, what I would have to say is, oh yeah, I notice it. I'm one of the personal trainers here, so I'm always noticing if somebody needs help. And then I would say, if you need help with anything else, just let me know. Right? That was a walk-away technique. I also had a technique where I would ask them what their goals were if I noticed that they were receptive to a conversation. So if I helped them out with a machine, and they said, thank you, I'm so embarrassed, or thank you, I don't know how to use half the stuff in here, I would say, well, what are you trying to work on? You see how the conversation moves forward? I help them with a machine, they tell me something, and now I ask them, what are your goals? What are you trying to work on? Are you trying to, oh yeah, I'm trying to work on the back of my arms, they would say. Oh, okay, yeah, that's your tricep. Well, the best way to do that is actually not this machine. There are, for me personally, I like to use these other machines. I would say, do you want to use them? Or do you want me to show you how to use them since I'm here? I got 5 minutes. I can show you. You might as well, and I would be very casual, very fun. And they would say, yeah. So I'd walk them around. And now they are in my world, right? But let's get back to the notes because I don't want to get ahead of myself. But that's one approach. Another approach I would use was, and I've said this in a previous episode, I would maybe clean the gym, right? So if I thought I wanted to talk to somebody, I would say, oh, are these your dumbbells over here? Or, can I put these away? I think somebody left them here from before. And they would say, oh yeah, whatever. And I would pick them up and then I'm going to teach you my approach. I would use that moment where maybe they take their headphones off to say, oh no, those are not mine. Or yeah, you know what, I'm using those. Whatever happened, I already broke the ice by talking about the dumbbells or talking about the water bottle or whatever, or the trash. And no matter what they said, I would say, well, yeah, let me put those away. By the way, I'm Sam. I'm one of the trainers here. If you ever need help with anything, please feel free to ask me, okay? And they would probably say, yes, thank you, no problem. And then I would just leave it at that. I would grab the dumbbells, I would put them back, or I would grab the water bottle, put it back, right? I would still commit to what I said I was going to do. But every once in a while, when I said, I'm Sam, I'm one of the trainers here, if they were interested in what I had going on, they might ask a question. They might say, oh, how long have you been a trainer here? That is an invitation to come in and talk more, which we're going to get into in a little bit, right? That's the next phase. Right now, we're just talking about approaches. How do I create a situation where I can have a conversation with someone? So those were some of the ways. And as a trainer that wants to be successful, you need to think about it too. You can't just wait for me to come up with an answer for you. You have to get creative and think, how can I get close to someone? What excuse or reason can I have that is actually real, right? So for me, helping them with a piece of machine is not me intruding, it's me helping. For me, cleaning up the equipment, putting back the weights, making sure we're not leaving trash out, that made sense. That's something that I, as an employee of the gym, should be doing so it's not weird. You know what I shouldn't be doing is going up to somebody and telling them, hey, take your headphones off. See, that's unnatural. So I would never do that. But it is natural for a trainer to want to put the weights away. It is natural for a trainer to want to be helpful. So I would always think about natural ways, right? Like it's natural for a trainer to take you through the gym if it's your first day. That's natural. So I would always place myself in positions where what was going to happen was a natural progression of things, right? There was something in it for the other person. Now, I'm not going to leave you guys hanging that maybe are, renting space at a gym or running your own gym. You can still use this same strategy, and I'm going to tell you guys exactly how I broke the ice with people. What I would do is I would set up a table outside of a shopping center. Our gym was at a shopping center, so that wasn't that difficult to do. But we would set up our table near the bigger store. So we had a clothing store, Marshall's. It's similar to a Ross, a TJ Maxx, all that stuff, right? It's just people coming in to buy some clothing and things like that. So we would set it up off to the side, and we would have coupons. And the coupons, they had a picture of the gym. They had whatever. It was 50% off a few sessions or a free session or whatever the coupon was that we were doing that month. Maybe we were doing something specifically for Christmas or for New Year's or things like that. So we would set up our coupons. We would set up a table where people could leave their information if they were interested. And we would hold the coupons, and I would hold them in my hands. Again, it's all about being prepared, right? We didn't leave them on the table because by the time somebody walked by, we couldn't go get them on the table and then go approach somebody. Another thing we kept moving, we kept doing was we kept moving, and I'm saying we because Sean was with me a lot of the time, but we would always look like we were moving in a certain direction, right? Again, I'm just keeping it real, you guys. I'm trying to stick to my points, but at the same time, I can't help but just talk to you guys about what I did and how it worked out for me. But we would approach people. So one of the techniques that we would do is to keep your feet moving. Don't sit there at the table and wait until you see someone, because they're going to notice that movement. That's why I talked about earlier that subconscious awareness. They're going to notice that you started moving when you saw them. So they know that you're approaching. But if you're always pacing a little bit, they know that you're just kind of moving around, right? That's why the subconscious awareness was a topic that I needed to talk to you guys about. This is the same if you have a table set up or if you're prospecting at the gym, however you're doing it, it's just one of the techniques. But back to the point, you can still prospect if you have a gym or if you're renting out space. You can still have your own coupons, your own flyers, your own business cards, however you want to do it. And you can be outside of the plaza, or if there is no plaza, you can look for the closest, nearest shopping center or park where people go work out, right? Because at the end of the day, if you're in the gym, you're prospecting in the gym because that's where the members are. When you're not in the gym, you need to go either where people are that are near enough to the gym, that's what we did, or go somewhere where people are probably going to work out and be interested in their fitness, which is usually a park that's nearby. So for us, we just chose we're going to be here because this is where the gym is, and we prospected. What does that mean is we would grab a coupon, and we would walk up to people getting out of their cars or walking into the store or walking out of the store, or people that had to walk past the table. Anybody that got close to us got a coupon. And that was our strategy day one, right? We didn't have the marketing budget. We didn't have the videos. We didn't have the staff. We didn't have the funds. But what we had was sweat equity. We could work hard, right? We can work the numbers. We could prospect. We can start letting people know that we're here. And so what we would do is just walk up to people, and this is the part I wanted to say, right? I would break the ice with them, but now it would be different. But even if you work in a gym, you could still use this strategy, right? If you're like, well, I'm not finding people to help, it's too weird to clean the gym and try to talk to people, you can still, even if you work at a gym, you can still print some coupons, talk to your manager, talk to whoever's in charge, print some coupons for somebody to work with you, and you could do the same thing. What we would do is we would sit at this table, or we would pace around the table, and when we saw somebody that we thought was approachable, right, we would try to approach everyone because you never know, but sometimes people really look at you like they don't want to be approached, so we try to respect that. And this is exactly what we would say. Number one, we would say hello. I love prospecting in the morning because a good morning is hard to reject. When it's the afternoon, when it's the evening, it's tough to say, hey, good afternoon, good evening, right? So the later the day gets, the harder it is to prospect. Also, by the end of the day, people are tired and they just want to go home. They've already had things happen in their day. Maybe the kids were late getting out of school, or they were, they got they got off of work late, or they had to stay behind, or they caught traffic on the way to the gym, or so by the end, the later the day goes, I have just found that it's a little bit tougher. A good morning is always the easiest opening. So we would try to prospect in the morning or afternoon, so it made it easy to greet people. And we would say, "Good morning. I'm so sorry to bother you." And we would say sorry to bother you because we knew that we were bothering them. And this is one of those things that a lot of people don't add to their prospecting that would help put people at ease and put their guard down. So Sean and I would use this approach to try to put their guard down, right? We would let them know in a very friendly and non-threatening tone. We would change our tone and we would say, "Sorry to bother you." And then we would get to the point. And this is the advice I'm giving you. If you're going to make contact, if you're going to break the ice, if you're going to offer a coupon to somebody, if you're going to tell them that your gym exists, if you're going to tell them that you're a trainer, whatever your pitch is that you decided to give them, remember that you don't have time for formalities. You don't have time to tell your story. You don't have time to tell them about your certifications. This is where the coupon is helpful. You get to the point. So we would say, "Good morning, sorry to bother you." And before they could say anything, we would reach out with a big old coupon in our hand. And we would say, "We're just giving away these free coupons." So when they heard free, they knew they didn't have to buy anything, right? We're giving away these free coupons, just inviting everyone to come check out our gym. And that we could rattle that off or something like that really quickly. And so that's what we would do. We had it rehearsed. "Good morning. Sorry to bother you. We're giving away free flyers. Sorry to bother you. Free. Free coupon. 50% off. Mother's Day coupon." Whatever the thing that we were doing is or was, we would get to the point and we would hand them something. Because most people, even though some people did reject us, most people would at least take it from our hands if we were reaching out to give it to them. Right? And that was it. That was how we broke the ice. Now, what happens next is not up to us, but you need to be aware of it. So it's on my notes. Number 4, all you're looking for when you prospect, whether you do it at the gym or anywhere else, like I said, we were doing it in a shopping center, what you're looking for is just any sign of interest. Do not press the issue. Do not force the issue. But understand that what you're looking for is some type of interest from them. What are the signs of interest? How do you know somebody's interested? Number 1, if that person asks you a question, whatever that question is, they have given you an opportunity to talk to them. They might say, "Oh, haha, where is your gym?" That shows interest. That's what you're looking for. So any question, right? If they ask you a question about, "Oh, do you have any routines for weight loss?" Or "Do you work with older people?" Or, "Do you know how to work with somebody that had a knee surgery?" Whatever their question is, they are showing interest. Most people are not going to show interest. Most people are going to take the flyer. This is what's going to happen. Most people are going to take the flyer and they're just going to keep walking. They're going to be friendly enough to say thank you and keep it moving. Very few people are going to say no, and they're not going to take the flyer or the coupon. They're not going to want to talk to you. Even fewer people are just going to flat out ignore you, which has happened, and you need to know that it's normal, okay? Because I want you guys to keep doing this if you're trying to do this. I don't want you to lose hope. Every once in a while, people flat out pretend you don't exist. That does happen. That's why I made the points I made earlier. You need to keep your head up because the next one you might be the trainer the next person was looking for, but you allowed the previous person before them to ruin that connection, that opportunity. So you need to learn to shake that off. So very few people are going to ignore you. Very few people are going to say no. The majority of people are just going to take whatever it is that you're giving away. But then on the other side, there's also the very few, but very real people that are going to show some interest in what you're doing. So what you're looking for is the person that asks you a question, and going along with that, stop moving their feet. That was another huge tell for me. If somebody stopped walking to talk to me, I knew that I had an opportunity because most people keep moving. So if they could stop moving, my next objective was to get their feet to turn towards me, right? Because there's even a level within the level. One level is I want them to stop moving their feet, but the next level is I want them to turn their energy towards me. So I would watch their feet and their torso to see if they began to turn towards me, and I saw those as signs that this was going in the right direction. If they never stopped moving their feet, if they never asked a question, or even if they stopped for a little bit but kind of kept their body aimed away, that was a tell for me that they wanted to keep it moving and that this wasn't going to go my way. But that's what you're looking for, okay? And I need you guys to know that not everyone is going to be interested. This is where we get prospecting absolutely wrong. When you go into prospecting, right, if you're going to take the jump and say, I'm going to try just approaching people because I want to have some control over my business, I want to, increase the odds of me succeeding, because it does increase the odds of you succeeding. When all else fails, listen to me, you guys. When all else fails, approaching people with your services will work. It's just harder, and it takes longer, and it takes more energy. That's why we avoid it. Let's be honest. That's why we avoid it. It requires a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of emotional energy, a lot of time, a lot of sacrifice, a lot of discomfort. That's why we don't do it. And I get that. That's why I don't do it now. But I did do it when I needed it, and it allowed me to buy enough time to figure out how to market myself other ways, right? Before I knew how to make advertisements and how to get people to click through and go to the website for my ads, before I had that skill, the only skill I could bank on is I can approach people and tell them to come to the gym, right? And I can be pretty convincing. So that's where prospecting and sales came together. I keep telling you guys to study sales too. Why? Because even if you know how to prospect, you need to have some skills on how to convert that, right? So it all ties together. Once I knew how to prospect, how to convert, learning how to market and create ads and funnels was not that difficult because I had been on a long-term path of learning all of these lessons. So if you're brand new, this is one of the best things that you could be doing. It's uncomfortable, like I keep saying, but it will work out for you if you can put in the amount of time that it requires, right? And that's where we lose a lot of people, is because, after a day out there prospecting or working the floor, it's going to suck a lot of energy, and you might have nothing to show for it that first day. And so it's hard to show up and do it again when you saw no result. But I'm telling you, if you keep going, it'll work. But the point that I'm making here is that what you're looking for is only the person that shows interest. Everyone else can hit, what is it? Hit the curb, or what is it? Kick the curb, whatever it is, right? They can get out of here. Do not worry about the people that are not interested. Those were never the person that you wanted to talk to, right? And a lot of people lose perspective. We lose track of what we were trying to do. You weren't trying to get everyone to say yes. You were actually trying to get most people to say no. You should know that when you're doing it, most people are going to say no. So you should already feel comfortable with a no, because I'm telling you, that's what's supposed to happen. Most people are not going to take you up on an offer. What you're looking for is the needle in the haystack. That special person that just so happens to be interested in what you have to offer. That's who you need to be ready for, right? We're not here to convince people. We're here to find people. Remember that. You're not prospecting to convince. You're prospecting to find somebody who needs what you have to offer, right? 10 people may not want what you have to offer, but one person will. And why is this important? Because we waste too much time trying to convert, and we miss the opportunity. So I'll tell you guys an example of exactly what would happen. When we would be out prospecting, sometimes a trainer would be trying to force a conversation, and I would see the perfect lead walk behind that person. But while we're talking, wasting time over here with someone that's not interested, we missed somebody that clearly was. I would see sometimes somebody would stop and look at the table, but we couldn't turn around and talk to that person because we were still talking to this person that wasn't even interested in the first place. And this other person that stopped, that showed interest, we didn't have time to talk to them. And that may have been the person that we were looking for. So just remember that. You're not in the business of forcing. You're not in the business of convincing. You're just in the business of exposing as many people as you can to you. That's really the formula of prospecting. Tell as many people as possible about what you do, and just know and believe that the ones that want what you have will make it known, right? But because you don't know where those people are and they don't know where you are, that's where this marketing comes in, right? Prospecting is one way to do it. When you're a one-man show, it's a great way to do it. But that's all it is. It's just exposing people to what you have to offer, right? Sometimes with a coupon, sometimes with some help, sometimes whatever you do, that's all you're trying to do is talk to somebody so that you can get to the point, and it's kind of come up, you guys, because when you're looking for someone that is going to show interest. But the problem is interest in what? So we still have a lot to cover here, right? What are they interested in? That's what we need to get to. But I just wanted to make sure you guys knew that you're not going to get everyone, and that's perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal. But you are going to get someone, and who you're looking for is someone that shows some interest. That's all you're doing with breaking the ice, with giving people help. You're just trying to find a way to get to the part where you let them know that you're a trainer and see if they're interested, okay? So number 5, this is the number one strategy that you need to apply. This is my personal strategy. When somebody shows interest of any kind, okay? So I guess before we move on, remember that the whole point of prospecting is not just to break the ice and not just to have a conversation. Those are just parts, those are just elements in getting to the part that you want. When you prospect, remember that you must offer something to that person before you move on, okay? And, well, I guess I have notes, so we'll get to that. All right, so that's I just need you guys to know that that's what you're working towards. You can't just say hi to people, help people at the gym, give people coupons without making them an offer to try your service, right? That's ultimately what we're leading to, so we'll get to that. But how do you lead someone to that direction, right? The first thing you did is you got your equipment, you got your courage up, right? And, you're smiling and you're ready and you're excited and you're talking to people and you're helping people at the gym or you're passing out coupons, and boom, you find the thing that you were looking for, right? Number 4, you find someone that's interested. They asked you a question. They stopped moving. They asked you how long you've been training, right? Anything that they did to show interest was the sign you were looking for. Remember that. You're breaking the ice, starting conversations, looking for someone that shows any type of interest. The moment that person shows interest, you need to have a habit, and this is a very hard habit to build for most people. I see it even in my staff. It's like, learn. This is the thing that everybody needs to understand. Learn to ask people questions. Stop it with the convincing, with the thinking that the more you talk, the funnier you are, the more interesting you are, the smarter you are, that somehow that is what's going to put people over the hump and push them to where they believe in you. The reality is you're going to get further if you learn to stop and ask questions, right? For those of you guys that saw Glenn Ross, I know somebody just messaged me this week that said they saw Glenn Ross. That was awesome to see that. I appreciate the question. We'll get to your question soon. But someone mentioned they had seen Glenn Ross, and I did an episode based on the movie a little while back. But I'm referencing that to say that in that movie they talk about understanding the shot, understanding what's happening. Right? Do you know the shot? Do you know what's going on? And so, where was I going with that? Oh, a lot of us start talking and we don't know the shot. We don't know the situation, right? Maybe somebody just, recovered from knee surgery, and you say, oh man, if you work with me, I'm going to push you harder than any other trainer, right? Because you think that's what that person wanted to hear. And when you say, I'm going to push you, they're going to go, oh, but my knee. And now you fucked up the shot because you didn't listen. You didn't ask questions. You said all the wrong things. You see what I'm saying? So in order to prevent you putting your foot in your own mouth, the best habit that you can build is to have the habit of checking the shot, ask the questions, figure out what's happening, and then once you know the situation, now you can insert yourself into the conversation and the situation. So I'm saying that all to say that when there is a conversation happening with someone that you're talking to in the gym or at a plaza or at the park or even at a party, right? Because you could be prospecting at a party, right? Prospecting is just you letting people know of your service and offering them to try it, right? You're just working the numbers, findings to see, is anybody interested, right? Literally, you can walk into a room and just shake everybody's hand and say, hi, nice to meet you. I'm a personal trainer. Should you ever need it? Hi, I'm a personal trainer. Should you ever need some help with your fitness? You could just do that and somebody might say yes, right? But just understand that that's kind of what you're doing when you're prospecting. You're just talking to people, trying to let them know what you do, trying to find people that are interested, but you're doing it in a one-to-one, face-to-face type of way. So it's not that easy, right? But I'm saying that all to say that once somebody shows interest, you need to jump into your consultation immediately. A lot of the people that I converted right there in the plaza, right by where their car was parked, it happened because I just started asking questions. I just got into my consultation mode. So I'll give you guys an example. What would happen would be I would be prospecting and, maybe somebody asked me, let's take it a step back, right? When I was working at the gym. Let's say I helped somebody with a machine. They said, thank you. I don't know what I'm doing. And I said, I'm a personal trainer. I'm here to help should you need anything. Before I left, I would say, well, what are you trying to achieve? What's your goal? And that's what I would say. The moment that somebody allowed me to talk to them, I asked them about their goals because that's what, as a coach, I should be doing with everyone. My job is to help people move towards their goals. So my job is to ask everyone what their goal is. And so I train myself to always drop right into consultation mode, even though that person had not yet set up a real consultation or trial workout with me. I knew how to carry that conversation from my sales experience. So when I would prospect somebody and they showed interest, I would ask them about their goals. I would ask them how long they've been working out, about their routine. Do they do a split routine? Are they trying to get bigger muscles? How much time do they have to come to the gym? Are they doing 30 minutes in the gym? Are they doing an hour, 90 minutes? How would they rate themselves on the amount of effort that they put into their workouts? How long has this been a goal of theirs? Is this something that's been lingering for a long time? Do you have any injuries or limitations that you'd be concerned about? Would you like to learn more exercises so that you get better results? And once I went, I would ask them about nutrition, well, tell me after your workouts, how much protein do you normally take in? How many carbs? Do you take your carbs before or after your workouts? Are you aware of how many carbs you should be having? How many grams? What percentage of your food should be protein versus fat versus carbs? Right? Talking about, I would ask them questions. And those questions carried the conversation. Now, if you guys can imagine this, I am in the gym having a full-blown conversation with a stranger that I just helped fix the seat. But now they're interested because I may have answers to their problems. So they're okay talking to me because I'm showing interest in them and I'm asking them questions that I would ask if I was their coach. So they're already starting to realize that I know what I'm talking about, not because I'm telling them, but because I know what questions to ask. See, what happens when you ask questions is you get them to realize how little they've thought about their fitness. They don't even know how much protein they're supposed to be having. They don't know about a split routine. They don't know about rep ranges. They don't know about sets. They don't know about supersets. They don't know how much load. They don't know about effort. They don't know about water. They don't know about sleep. They don't know about recovery. They don't know about creatine. They don't know about cardio versus strength training. And so when I ask questions, I'm not telling them you don't know. I'm making you realize that maybe if you had me in your life, I could be of assistance. And so what happens is they realize that for themselves instead of me telling them what I want them to realize. And that's why my prospecting was way better than most. because I wasn't trying to wow people. I wasn't trying to convince people. I was just trying to make them aware of what I may know and what you may not know. And the only way I can do that is by the moment that they gave me an opening, I needed to jump into a consultation right then and there. And that is the advice that I'm giving you today. And do not take it for granted, you guys, because this is stuff that I've even held back. I'm like, somebody should pay for some of these tips sometimes. But today I decided that's the episode, so I'm going to give it to you guys real and raw. That's what I would do, okay? I'm giving you guys my playbook today. I would jump into a consultation when somebody showed interest, and I would just take it from there, keep asking questions, and also I needed to know what the shot was, just like I said, right? I need to know the situation. Maybe they are a nutritionist, but they don't know how to strength train. If I jump in acting like I know about nutrition, they're going to school me. So it's better to ask and to get a feel for what they know and they don't know. And they may then say, oh no, nutrition is not a problem at all. I'm actually a nutritionist. My problem is I just don't know how to exercise. I don't know what to do for my arms. I don't know how many repetitions to have. I just don't know. And I'm not motivated. I'm so tired. Oh, that's the problem. Now I can insert myself where they need the help. I would not have known that if I didn't ask questions. So remember, you guys, when somebody gives you an opportunity to talk to them, however it is that you got there, right? Whether you helped them with a machine, whether you gave them a coupon, whether you walked up to them at a party, whatever happened, the moment that there's a conversation that begins in the gym, at the park, at a party, at a shopping center, whatever method you use, the coupon, help, cleaning the gym, grabbing them a towel, helping them clean something in the bathroom, whatever opportunity you had, because you need to be on prospect mode all the time. When you're at work, you're at work. Work means I'm trying to talk to people, right? If you're in that mindset. So the moment somebody talks to me, I need to ask them about their fitness. Just remember that. If you guys can take that away from today, you're going to increase the odds of you selling more personal training. If you just know, when I have a conversation, ask them about their fitness, about their strength training, about their what. Of course, this requires for you to know. It requires for you to be educated, right? That's why we need to be certified. That's why we need to continue our education, because you never know when you're going to need that extra information to be able to solve somebody else's problems. If you're only a strength training coach and you don't know about anything else, and you don't know about foam rolling and stretching and mobility and all the other elements that come with fitness, and you know nothing about nutrition, you know nothing at least about macros, about water intake, you just know strength training techniques, that's wonderful, but you're limited in the amount of solutions that you'll be able to provide someone, so you are lessening the pool from which you can go then and gather clients. That's why constant information is very important. And I'm going to add this in here too. I don't know if I said this to you guys on an episode or I told this to somebody in person, but this is also one of my lessons in life. I did talk about it in one of the episodes, but I'm going to drop it here as well. This is one of the reasons why I also like to read and learn just about other things in life and talk to people that have different experiences and professions, because I also want to have a depth to my conversations. Right? So maybe if all else fails, at least I know something about golf, and maybe this person's a golfer, right? At least I know something about a TV show. Maybe I read a book that they read, right? Again, it's impossible to know everything, but I just want you guys to realize the importance of constantly educating yourself in many different ways to be someone who is, a deep person to a certain degree, who is well-versed, well-rounded, primarily in your profession. So let's start there. But then even if you become an expert at it, you should still strive to add more, because it's going to give you more opportunities to talk to different people, to carry different conversations, right? For me as a business person, sometimes I talk to personal trainers that are amazing personal trainers, and they try to have a conversation with me about business, and I go, dude, you're a trainer. You don't know about business. It's not to throw shade, but sometimes people think because they're an expert in one area that they somehow are entitled and an expert to talk about something in a different area. And that's not to say that the ideas may not be true, but This is why we need to continue to grow and not just rest on our past achievements, and think that that's enough. You should always be growing. It's going to make you more versatile. And going back to the point of today, when you prospect, you'll be able to ask deeper, more interesting questions if you have more information and more tools and abilities to help people. You'll be able to carry the conversation and ask about certain things, knowing that you have the answer to those questions. And the last thing I'll say about asking questions when you have the opportunity to talk to someone is that it will pique their curiosity in you. They're going to want to know more. They're going to want to see what this is about, right? You've piqued their interest. They are interested in you. If you come out and try to tell them everything that you know, number one, they're not going to remember. But number two, if they think they remember, they're going to think that they don't need you. And that's also a problem. And a lot of you guys run into that problem too. You give so much information up front that people say, okay, so I'll just do this plan then. I don't need to train with you. I just have to do this. And maybe I got to remember to do an episode about that because that happens a lot. I did one a little bit in the past that talks about that. We've done so many episodes now, but we did talk about this where, how do you keep somebody from just taking your routine and running with it, right? But it comes up again here. One of the ways, and it's not to say that they got the routine from you, is that they think that they got it, and that's enough for them to run with, right? You and I know there's no way that they know what they're doing off of one session. I know that, you know that. But the prospect, the client, they think that they did figure it out. They're going to say, thanks for telling me what to eat. Thanks for telling me about water. Thanks for telling me about protein. Thanks for fixing my form. I got it from here, right? That's the problem that we run into when we become we tell, right? And there's nothing wrong with showing and telling. Shoot, I sit here all the time and tell you guys what I would do. But in that moment, you're going to get more from asking questions than telling people what you know. You want to get them to realize that there's so much more, and you also want them to realize that the only way that they're going to really understand it is to commit some time and effort and finances to invest to acquire the knowledge that you have worked so hard to attain yourself. And that's business, right? That's ultimately what that person is purchasing. Your expertise, for you to tell them how much water to have, for you to tell them how many times a week to come in, for you to correct them, for you to increase the load, for you to decrease the load, right? Because you're the expert, they don't know and they don't have the time, and also they're an expert in a different field. That is a functioning society and economy. Everyone does different things because no one person can do everything. And so in this case, as personal trainers, that's our little spot, right? Health and fitness of other people. And that, when you need taxes done, maybe you go to somebody else. When you need your car repaired, you go to somebody else. When you need to go to the dentist, you go to somebody else, right? We all need each other. We all need everyone to be an expert in their area. So be an expert in your area, and people will need that expertise. But number 5, going back to the point before we move on, the point that I'm trying to make is when somebody gives you an opportunity to talk to them, you're better off asking questions because through their answers, you can begin to figure out how you're going to help them, and you can present to them the opportunity to make those changes by, number 6, setting up a consultation with you. So number 6 is, pretty much wrapping up this conversation. You asked a lot of questions. What I need you guys to know, and this is the point of this whole episode, this is what we're trying to get to. Number 6, set up an appointment for them to come in next time. Now, they've shown interest. You had a conversation. They know how you are. They're intrigued by your questions. They want an answer to their problems. But they can't get it right now because we're just standing in the middle of the gym. I mean, we didn't plan on this, and I got to go to lunch. Maybe they got to get back to work. Maybe they're going shopping, and I'm sorry. I didn't mean to take 5 to 10 minutes of your time, but it just happened. The conversation was flowing, right? That's normally what's going to happen. They're going to talk to you for 5 to 10 minutes, but we also have to realize neither one of us really thought we were going to be talking. We had other plans in our day. So at this point, your only objective when you're prospecting is two things. And you guys need to know this because this drives me crazy. Sean, when he hears this, is going to know this pisses me off. the point of everything you just did, you grabbed coupons or you worked the floor or you approached people to help them or whatever you did, right? You put all this energy in. You need to either set up a consultation, and if not that, at the bare minimum, have contact information. You worked so hard to talk to somebody, to get somebody that's interested, you need to be able to call them back later. Don't let them walk away without giving you their information. Now, why did we go through this whole episode? Because it's the easiest way to get their information. If you got their interest, if you asked them questions, if you piqued their interest, then they're going to want to share their information with you, and hopefully they're going to want to set up a consultation with you. Because if not, then you would just go up to a bunch of people and say, hey, would you want to come in and work out with me tomorrow? Hey, do you want to come in and work out with me tomorrow? That might still work, but you're also setting yourself up for a lot of like, what are you doing talking to me? I don't know you, right? So I like to do it the more, amicable way, the friendly way, right? What I deem like something that feels more realistic. But at the end of the day, that is ultimately what you're doing out there. You're saying, who out here or who in here would like to try personal training with me? And sometimes people aren't as open to approach you about it. And that's where prospecting comes in, because you can't wait around for people to convince themselves to try it. Sometimes you have to go out there and see if you can get them to go over the edge, right? They might have thought about it, but now that you're talking to them, now they're more convinced. Now they want to do it. And so you have to remember that when you prospect, your mission is to have somebody give you their information and make a commitment to come and see you for an actual consultation and assessment. And what's going to happen during that time? You're going to let them know, when you come in, I'll put you in my schedule. When you come in, I'll actually show you all those things that we talked about out here. So maybe we talked about how to work out after a knee surgery. Maybe that was the conversation. They had concerns. Well, now you can say, well, it was really nice to meet you, John. And, I really think those exercises we talked about with your knee is going to get you right back. Are you free, tomorrow or Friday to come in around 2 or anytime that you want to? But, right now I'm free at 2 o'clock. And I can actually show you the moves that I would be doing for your knee to feel better, right? And so they're going to want that, right? Which is another point that I want to make. When you set up an appointment, make sure that you always lead with how that appointment is geared to give them the solution in a practical way to the things that we talked about. That's where the questions were so important. So if that person talked about needing nutrition and accountability, then you're going to say, are you free this day? It would be great to come in and actually do a workout so you can see how it feels and how, these workouts you're probably going to be able to be more accountable to, because they're going to be tailor-made to you. And we're going to be able to talk more because we're going to have a whole 30 minutes or a whole hour to work out, but also talk about what you should be eating to recover, to get energy, things like that. You know what? I'll even text you what to eat before you come into a session, so we have an even better session if you're okay with that. Yeah, that sounds good. Okay, good. Well, let me get your information, and then I'll shoot you a text before Friday at noon, okay? Okay, sounds great. And now you've gone literally from no potential customers to one potential customer by going through the process that we talked about today, right? But everything we did led up to this moment, and just remember that you want to set up a consultation. If not, get their information for, an upcoming day. That is how prospecting works. You're trying to move this person forward in the sales process. It's just very difficult because right now you are going from a not aware of my services and pushing them down a funnel to where they're aware and willing to try it. And that's what prospecting is bridging the gap from somebody that was at the gym that has no idea that you can help them to now, by the time you're done with this conversation, they are at least aware that you might be able to help them. And that's as far as prospecting got you, right? The rest of it is the sales process if they show up, right? And hopefully we can get them to show up, which leads me to the final part, number 7. You have to have a follow-up, right? This is why you need the information, because if they made an appointment, you're going to follow up. But if they didn't make an appointment, that's okay. I can still follow up with a message to encourage them to come in. My personal follow-up, right? There's a right way and a wrong way. Now, there's a Sam's preferred way and least preferred way. But least preferred means it's wrong. I'm just kidding. You don't want to tell somebody in a follow-up text that you are follow-up texting them. This is just one of my pet peeves, you guys. When I get a text that says, "Hey Sam, just following up. Hey Sam, just confirming tomorrow." I'm like, okay, obviously. So my approach, because what that does, you guys, is it makes it very formal again. It makes it very salesy again, right? When your text says just following up, it reminds me that this is a sale. When you say, "Hey, I'm confirming," it reminds me that you really want me to show up to this, right? That you're trying to hit a sales quota. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. People are going to say, "Thanks for following up," or they're going to say, "Thanks for confirming. I'll be there." There's nothing wrong with that. But I always think, how do I make things smoother? How do I sound less salesy? How do I make it more comfortable for me and for the potential customer? So what I adapted is always leading with something that we talked about, right? Let's say you want to text somebody back. They didn't set up a consultation. The best thing to do is to text them about something that you talked about and maybe wanting to get clarification on something. So you can, instead of texting them, "Hey, would you like to come in for a consultation?" You can say, "Hey, John, I was thinking about what you told me about your knee and your surgery. And actually, I just saw that the turnaround time on that, there's an article that says that actually the turnaround suggested now is 6 weeks versus what we had talked about was 4 weeks. So actually, I think that there's an article saying that it's better to wait a little bit long. I don't know what you think about that, but, if we set an appointment for next week, you would be right at the 6-week mark. And, we would be in the clear to work out. And also I could show you those movements that we had talked about. And now I led with something that is super specific to John, specifically about what we talked about, and specifically a solution and something that John would be interested. An article about when to come back and start working out and it could be anything about the benefits of strength training, the 10 best stretches for somebody, whatever it is, and it doesn't have to be an article. I just hope that you understand the bigger picture here. The bigger picture is I'm trying to figure out, how do I talk to this person where they know this isn't a general message, because you guys shouldn't be sending mass messages and general messages. What I want that person to feel is, I remember you. I remember your concern. I remember your goal. I remember your question. I remember you, John. I remember you. You were interesting to me. And I not only remember you, I thought about you when I saw this. I thought about you when I thought about this, right? I thought about you because you might need help in this area. This would benefit you, right? So you could do it that way, or at least at the bare minimum, mention something that you remembered about their conversation. Another example, sometimes what I would do is I would follow up my text, checking in on whatever plans they had made. So in the conversation, if they said, "Yeah, I would love to come in, Sam, but, right now it's not the time. I'm going to be out of town for a week, visiting my father. He needs me right now," whatever. I need to be focused in that conversation, which we didn't talk about earlier today, but now you guys can see how this all ties together. I need to, as soon as John leaves, I need to make a note somewhere so I don't forget, John, interested, visiting father, and just put that somewhere, right? Maybe on my phone before I keep prospecting. I need to remember this. Hopefully I got his information. He was interested, but he can't do it right now. He's hesitant. He's going out of town. That's great. I wait a week and I say, "Hey, John, Sam from the gym. I really hope everything went well with your father. Best wishes to you and everybody." And you can leave it at that if you really want to do that, or I can tie the training in and I can say, "Best wishes. I hope everything went well," and if you're back and you want to focus on your personal goals, I just want to remind you that I'm here for you and, I'm available at this time, this week, or this date. If you wanted to take advantage of the opening, you can come in. So I lead with something that is so personal to that person, and then I suggest a consultation, right? So that's how I would follow up on someone after talking to them if they didn't commit to anything. Now, if they did and they said, hey, I'm coming in on Friday, I'll see you at noon, I can still follow up and use the same technique. Hey, John, I hope the visit to your family went well. I know how, it can be a little stressful traveling, but I look forward to seeing you tomorrow at noon. You see how that's a different, more personable message than just saying, hey, John, confirming tomorrow at 2. Right? So for me, that's the magic of being personable, of paying attention to people and putting their goals and their stories, their wants, their needs first. If you can do that, you're going to excel at this job, because that's what people want. And they're going to choose you anytime over the trainer that just said, hey, what's your goal? Lose weight. Okay, let's do burpees. You're going to win over all the time, So it's just my method. You don't have to do it my way. Like I always say, these are just my pieces of advice, because this is just how I have conducted my training, my business, my career, and I have found that it pays me back a lot more than not doing it that way, right? Because you may have worked really hard to get 3 phone numbers this week, right? You may have really worked hard all week just to get 3 phone numbers. What I'm telling you is that follow-up, if you can do it this way, you are increasing the chances that all of your work will pay off. If you send too general of a text or a call, if you want to call, or whatever you end up doing after that, if it's too formal, I'm just saying that making it more personal is going to increase your chances of that person wanting to see you again, because they felt heard and they now believe even more than you really are going to take care of them. You see how that works? We're working the subconscious mind here. Subconsciously, any one of us would feel closer to somebody that remembered our story, that remembered what we said. All of us want that. We want to be seen, we want to be heard, we want to be, important. And anybody that gives that has the upper hand. So I'm just telling you guys, if you can follow up with someone and show interest in them, and in this case, show interest from beginning to end of this process, you're going to increase your chances of converting these prospects into actual customers when they come back and try your services. But that's it. Those are, for me, the elements of prospecting and the importance of prospecting. And what I'll say here at the end is what I said in the beginning. This is one of those old school methods that always works. If you go into the gym talking to people, offering help, if you set up a table or anything and you're out here, meeting people, letting people know you have a gym down the street, letting people know you're a personal trainer that comes to their house, and you tell them the benefits. Hey, if you ever need a personal trainer at home, I'm giving away coupons. Whatever you decide to do, if you put yourself out there and you are vulnerable in that way, good things will happen. It's not comfortable, but it works. This is how sales works. You just put yourself out there in front of as many people as possible, and somebody's going to bite on it. Somebody is. I'll tell you guys what happened to me and to Sean a few times, more than once. This is really interesting. More than one time, sometimes what would happen is we would approach somebody with a coupon, and we would say, hey, just like I told you guys, good morning. Sorry to bother you. I wanted to give you this coupon for our personal training gym. And a couple of times, this is what would happen. I kid you not, you guys. People would stop dead in their tracks, and they would say, I just thought about how I need a personal trainer. And they would be shocked. They would stop, and they would say, this is so weird. I was just thinking that I need to do something about my health. I was just in my car thinking like I can't keep doing this anymore. And then here you are giving me a coupon to come to the gym. This is so crazy. And they would be weirded out. They would be freaked out because, you guys don't realize it, but, a lot of people are thinking about their fitness. A lot of people just got back from the doctor. A lot of people are worried, So when you put yourself out there, you're putting yourself in a place where you may cross paths with somebody that has that type of reaction. They're not all bad reactions. A lot of people, like I said, are going to reject you. A lot of people are not going to be interested in you. I also don't think that you should approach everybody. You should approach people that look like the people that you would work with, because you're going to feel comfortable talking to them, right? I don't want you to put yourself in danger, being out there in the middle of the night talking to somebody that's out there, ready to commit a crime. You have to be smart, you guys. If you can do it with a partner, even better. Obviously, if you can do it at the gym, it's even better. I think I've told this story before, but when I started, I was under so much pressure to prospect that I was prospecting some people that I should not have been prospecting. I remember some guy was like, dude, if you talk to me, I'll punch you in the face. And, we ended up being cool after that, but I was like, sorry, man. And I may have told this story in one episode a long time ago. But I was like, sorry, man. I was like, I'm under so much pressure to just talk to everybody, dude. And he's like, yeah, man. He's like, well, you got to watch who you talk to. And I laughed, and he laughed about it, and we ended up being cool. He's like, hey, I understand what you're doing, man, but come on, you can't just be a pro. So I was young, and I was just trying to talk to people, but I'm telling you, you got to be careful who you talk to as well if you're going to prospect. That's why, for me, my approach from the very beginning is to be smiling and saying hi so that I can feel who is approachable. And maybe I should have said this in the beginning, but hopefully you guys got all the way to the end in today's episode. That's another piece of advice. Just always be saying hi, because when you say hi, people will let you know if they're approachable or not. And still, you don't have to approach everybody. If you don't feel comfortable approaching certain people, you don't have to. Just pick your target. Hey, any young woman that I see between 20 and 30 going in to shop for running shoes, that's my go-to, or any guy that looks like he is in his mid-40s and he's gained some, he's got a little beer belly and he looks like he can, increase his muscle mass. That's going to be my client, right? I'm going to go after them. So you can still kind of figure out okay, who should I talk to and who should I avoid? Because some of us may not want to approach people certain, of a certain type. Some people, you may just know that they're going to feel uncomfortable with you approaching them. So that's another thing too. You got to think you're 6 foot something approaching, somebody who's 18 and 5 feet tall, you're going to maybe overwhelm them. So it's all a common sense game. But that's prospecting, you guys. Like I said, I had troubles in the beginning, but be smart about it. Do not put yourself in a weird situation, but at the same time, most people are friendly and they just want you to provide something of benefit to them. And, that's another rule of prospecting. I kind of mentioned it in the episode, but just remember that, as long as you have something that is good to offer, then that'll make it easy. When you have nothing to offer, it becomes harder, right? But if you can offer help, if you can offer advice, if you can offer, a coupon, a discount card, a free pass, a raffle that they can enter, if you can be creative and think well, what's in it for them, then it's a lot easier to prospect someone, right? Because when we were passing out coupons, it was easy to say, hey, this is for 50% off, or this is for free training sessions, or this is a month free. Sometimes when it was free or it was discounted, it made it really easy. And like I said, in the gym, you can do the same thing, or you can just offer help, which makes it really easy to prospect someone when they don't know how to use the machine, and you just jump in and help them, and then you take it from there, everything we talked about. So that was, an in-depth look into prospecting. I hope that's helpful for any of you guys that are in that same situation. It's a good skill to have. It's something that I always feel like I can bank on should I ever need to. I can just get out there, go to a park, and make something happen, and that's that. So I got a couple of questions this week. I got in touch with some of you guys this week as well. So it's going to be a busy next couple of weeks. But I appreciate the questions that were sent in. Super interesting where you guys are coming from. I'm continuously just so surprised just where everybody's coming from, what you guys have done for a living, where you guys live. Just fascinating people you all are. But I love it and I appreciate it. And if you guys have any questions you want to send in, we'll turn it into an episode. Today was not a Q&A, but if you guys are new to the podcast, we do Q&A episodes where I answer questions that you guys send in. So I have a few lined up right now, but if you want to add to it, that's always appreciated and needed, right? We all grow together based on your questions as well. So if you have a question, there's a link in the episode. There's a link in the About section of the podcast as well. It's personaltrainerhustle.com. You guys can send in your questions. I get them. I turn them into an episode. And every once in a while, I reach back out to some of you guys to have a one-on-one call that we can turn into an episode as well. So you may be on the Personal Trainer Hustle if your question is chosen and I want to dig a little bit deeper. So that's actually what we have lined up this week. And next is we'll be talking to some listeners that sent in their questions, and we're going to dive deeper into their businesses and what they've been doing. And, hopefully I can learn from them and they can learn from me, and we can have a fun time chatting it up about personal training and personal training business. So you guys can look forward to that. But like I said, personaltrainerhustle.com is where you can connect with me and send in your questions as well. All right? Talk to you guys soon. Bye.